Hello everyone, my name is Raffi Pratama Gunawan, and today I am deeply honored to present my cultural project titled Indonesian Batik. Batik is more than just a piece of cloth, it is the heartbeat of Indonesian culture. It is a visual language that tells the story of our history, our belief, and our soul. In this presentation, I have divided the topic into four main chapters. First, we will explore the concept and definition. Second, the history and development. Third, the variety of motif and traditions. And finally, we will look into the production process and the philosophical values. Okay, let's begin with part 1. What exactly is batik? The word batik itself carries a profound meaning. Etymologically, it is believed to originate from two Javanese words, amba, which means to write, and titik, which means to make dots. This reflects the very essence of the craft, the meticulous process of creating intricate patterns, dot by dot on a white canvas. Technically, batik is defined as a wax-resist dyeing technique. We use malam or hot liquid wax as a barrier. Where the wax is applied, the dye cannot penetrate. This allows the artisan to create specific, beautiful motif through a process of repeat dyeing and waxing. It is quite literally the pouring of the Indonesian soul onto sheets of cotton or silk. Beyond its physical form, batik is a global treasure. On October 2, 2009, UNESCO officially designated Indonesian batik as a masterpiece of oral and intangible heritage of humanity. This wasn't just an award, it was a recognition of batik's deep cultural symbolism and the fact that these techniques have been passed down for generations. Today, it serves as a social glue, a unifying medium that connects Indonesians across thousands of islands, from traditional ceremonies to modern daily life. Moving on the second part, how did batik evolve through time? The roots of batik can be traced back to the glorious era of the Majapahit Kingdom. In those times, batik was evidence of the advanced textile civilization in the Indonesian archipelago. Originally, it was an exclusive art form practiced within the walls on the palace of Yogyakarta and Surakarta. Certain motifs were considered sacred and could only be worn by kings and nobles, serving as a powerful symbol of social status. However, as history progressed, so did batik. The spread of Islam and the increase in trade activities along the coastal areas played a significant role in democratizing batik. It shifted from being purely a royal garment to becoming the cultural identity of the wider community. We also see an engineering evolution in how batik is made. For centuries, we only know batik tulis, where artisans use chanting to draw every line manual. This remains the highest from the batik art. But to meet the demands of a growing society, the batik cup was introduced using copper stamps. This modernized the production process without losing the traditional aesthetic. Today, in the era of globalization, batik continues to adapt, integrating modern design on global fashion trend, making it relevant on the international runway of Paris, Milan, and New York. Now let's look at the incredible variety of batik motif. Each line and shape is a silent prayer. We generally categorize motif into two, geometric and non-geometric. Geometric motif like the parang or kawung have symmetrical structure. They represent the order and balance of the universe, often symbolizing power of purity. On the other hand, non-geometric motifs such as semen or buketan are more fluid. They feature nature, flower, clothes, and animals, representing fertility and the beauty of the earth. There is also a fascinating contrast between coastal batik and inland batik. Inland batik, coming from the heart of Java, is dominated by earth colors like brown and black, focusing on deep spiritual symbolism. Coastal batik, influenced by foreign traders from China, Europa, and Arabia. Finally, we reach the heart of the craft, the production process and its philosophical values. The tools of batik are humble yet vital. We use the canting, which act like a pen for the hose wax. We use high quality cotton or silk, and we prioritize nature dyes derived from roots and bark, reflecting our harmonious relationship with nature. The process of nyanting, applying the wax, and lorot, removing the wax in boiling water, is a test of character. To create a single piece of batik tulis, an artisan might spend months of work. This requires steady hand, intense focus, and most importantly, unwavering patience. The philosophical value of batik lies in this accuracy and perspective. It demands a harmony between thought and action. When an artisan sits down to draw a motif, they are not just making a pattern. They are practicing a form of meditation. They are pouring their discipline, their history, and their hopes into every drop of wax. In conclusion, batik is not just a commodity. It is a legacy. It is a bridge between our ancestor and our future. As the younger generation, it is our duty to not only wear batik but to understand the philosophy behind it and to ensure that this heritage of humanity continues to thrive for centuries to come. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention to the beauty of Indonesian batik. See you.